Hey folks, Mr. Fingland here again. I want to talk a little bit about chapter 1 in the Grapes of Wrath. I would really want you to read this piece yourself. It's an amazing piece, and it is something that captures the terror of having one's way of life changed. The first chapter really helps us with this. What you're going to notice about the Grapes of Wrath is that every other chapter, more or less, sort of zooms in and zooms out to the Dust Bowl. All right, so chapters 1, chapter 3, chapter 5, all of these chapters look at the Dust Bowl in a broad perspective, where characters aren't named, they're sort of given appellations, right? The farmer, the wife, the children. But then we sort of zoom in to chapters, the sort of the even chapters, or every other chapter, that I kind of call the Joad chapters. The ones where Tom Joad is the protagonist, we have people named, we have a bit of characterization on a deeper scale, and we sort of have the traditional plot laid out for us. So chapter 1 is one of those chapters that sort of sets the scene of what happens in the Dust Bowl. I'm going to start by reading this first paragraph. I'd love you to read it together. It starts on page 1, believe it or not. Just listen to this chapter, to this first paragraph, and I'll talk about how the chapter goes on. I'd love you to read that chapter as well. To the red country and part of the gray country of Oklahoma, the last rains came gently, and they did not cut the scarred earth. The plows crossed and recrossed the rivulet marks. The last rains lifted the corn quickly and scattered weed colonies and grass along the sides of the roads, so that the gray country and the dark red country began to disappear under a green cover. Beautiful imagery there. In the last part of May, the sky grew pale, and the clouds that had hung in high puffs for so long in the spring were dissipated. The sun flared down on the growing corn day after day until a line of brown spread along the edge of each green bayonet. The clouds appeared and went away, and in a while they did not try anymore. The winds grew darker green to protect themselves, and they did not spread anymore. The surface of the earth crusted, a thin, hard crust, and as the sky became pale, so the earth became pale, pink in the red country and white in the gray country. Right? So just looking at that paragraph, Steinbeck is setting up for us this sort of initially beautiful, opulent season of growth, right? In the early days, with the planting done, the clouds that have moistened the ground, it seems like the travails of the Dust Bowl are over. Right? The corn sprouts up and it starts growing. The weeds are growing. And we know, like in the springtime, we see this sudden growth. Now there's sun and there's rain and there's water keeping us all, keeping all the corn growing and all the life growing. Right? Then, even in this first paragraph, we see it stop. Right? That beautiful personification, you know, the clouds appeared and went away, and in a while they didn't even try anymore. Right? It's like they've given up. Right? And that feeling of giving up is really important in this first chapter. Right? We've seen this corn that's grown, it's beautiful and green, and then a thin line of brown is starting to grow on each ear of the corn, on each leaf, right? Where that brown starts coming in, right, and ruining the crop. And so what we're going to look at in this chapter, and as you read forward, is we're going to see this sort of progression that Steinbeck gives us of how that corn, which started so strong, is going to be slowly and meticulously worn down into nothingness, right? This chapter 1 that features, you know, men and women, right, the farmers, they're not named. They could be any farmer in the Midwest. They experience this dust storm that is so powerful and so final. It blows the last dry corn over. It picks up the dirt and spreads it thinly through the air. It's coming in through the cracks in the doorways, right? People are holding cloths over their mouths. Lots of imagery that really gives you that feeling of choking, right? With the dust in the air. And when the storm is done, the men and women and the children, they come out of this house and the corn's dead. It's gone. If they had any doubt as to whether it was going to survive, it's gone now, right? And they're just looking around, and the women look to the men. I'd like you to look out for that in your reading today. The women look at the men for the solution, right? What are we going to do, right? And the men don't know. But something really important happens. The men become angry, right? They don't give up. They become angry, right? And we know that the title of the book is called The Grapes of Wrath, and wrath is severe, intense anger. And we're given this image, ending the first chapter, of the men angry, sitting, thinking, figuring, trying to figure out what to do, because the women are looking to them, the children are looking to them. In a lot of ways, what I want you to look out for as we go forward in this book is the idea that this whole way of life for these people changed. It used to be that the men were in charge, they knew how to farm, they were in charge and they knew what to do, and we looked to the men. But by the end of this book, you're going to see that the women are the ones that everyone looks to for solution to real problems. And I think that's what makes this an amazing piece. So please go ahead and read chapter 1 if you haven't already. You'll notice there aren't any questions for chapter 1. Try to experience it. Look out for that personification. Look out for the imagery, the dryness, right? That feeling in your throat that you get by reading about these storms that were so powerful. And we'll catch up with the next chapter, chapter 2, which is a Joad chapter, where we see Tom Joad coming home from prison. Thank you so much, guys.